Hey, YouTube. Yeah, my camera still does that focusing thing. So, I actually made a few videos. I haven't uploaded yet because I'm lazy, I guess, or something. Anyway, um, so I just wanted to talk about something today, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot, and maybe you do too. Death. Give it a second. Give it a second. Okay, I mean, really, what? And I'm not the youngest person on Earth, but I'm not the oldest either. Um, and I'm a big guy. I got boobs. Didn't have those after stopped playing football in high school and all that. But I'm fairly, believe it or not, it's not all fat. I do have a lot of muscle. Um, I've had EKGs, I've had blood work, I've had everything on earth, and I am completely okay. However, I'm always afraid that I'm going to get something and die. Last year, I went into the hospital with severe dehydration and mineral loss. Come to find out that I had Rocky Mountain spotted fever. That is hard to say really fast. Anyway, you guys, if you're watching this and you're in the Colorado area, the Rocky Mountain area, anywhere up in that general area of the U.S., you know what I'm talking about. However, if you're in the Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee area, which I am, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Because it's very rare in this area. Very rare. I mean, you got a ton of ticks out there, and very few of them carry this disease in our area, but yet I got it. Almost died, too. Not so much from that, but it was last summer was really bad here. Real bad drought, very hot. Um, I don't know why it does that. Anyway, very hot, and I don't have air conditioning. Well, I do, but I don't use air conditioning except for the kids. Anyway, so I was outside working all the time, constantly outside working, and I ended up becoming rather dehydrated to the point where not only did I lose sodium and potassium and the normal stuff you lose when you dehydrate, but a lot of other minerals that my body needs apparently to keep going because it is what it is. They found out was I had all these blotches, like, well, the stomach area, the sides, and then they kept getting worse. And I just thought it was heat rash or whatever. And no, it turns out that I was mildly hallucinating. They said that was mainly due to that and the dehydration and different things. But the doctor told me if I hadn't came in sooner, which I don't know how I could have waited because I had to be carried to the car. And it's about a 15-minute drive to a hospital out here. Or 20 minutes, depending on how you drive. He drove fast. I don't know how I would have waited any longer than that. But they said I could have died. So, I cut myself not too long ago while I was skinning a squirrel. And now I get sick about 2 weeks later, which I don't have flu-like symptoms. It's chest and throat and sinuses and all that good stuff you get this time of year. I'm convinced that I have been infected with rabies, even though there is a... If you've ever been bitten by a squirrel, you should have been fucking around with it to start with. But two, the chance of a small rodent like that carrying rabies to the point where they're actually transmittable is astronomical. They don't generally carry. The smallest mammal that usually carries rabies is the woodchuck. And apparently that's like 86% of all cases of rabies in the U.S. But there were only like 300, almost 400 cases of rabies last year. So that's an average of, let's say 350 a year. Let's cut that down a little bit. 350 out of all the people, hell, 2 million people a year die in the U.S. So there's like 2 million, 350 were rabies. And so there's the small odds. Then the odds of, it didn't bite me. I just cut the piss out of myself while I was skinning it. So that's another, no, there's really there's no chance, really, mathematically. I mean, there's a chance, but it's not really there. And then, on top of that, I'm fine. It doesn't itch, it doesn't tingle, it doesn't hurt, it's healed perfectly and to the point to where it's just a scar. I'm not having headaches. Well, I do with the sinuses here and there, but I'm not having flu-like symptoms. I'm not having any motor skill issues, any issues with strength or anything like that. and I've been sick for 4 or 5 days. If I was sick that long with rabies, I'd be to the point where I'm probably hallucinating and all kinds of things. But I'm convinced. No, it's having soreness in my jaw, and I cut myself on a piece of rusty ass blade that I keep outside with the gutting box. Tetanus. But tetanus usually doesn't come off 440 stainless steel. Not normally. It can. It can even come from bugs. However, usually it's only a puncture wound. Scratches are less likely for some reason. I don't know why. But I realize the pain in my jaw is either because I'm grinding my teeth in my sleep, or I do it while I'm awake sometimes, or just because I'm chewing and I have cancer. And why is it the cancer doesn't bother me? However, the slimmer fact of, here, I've been doing this for well over a decade. Why does that not bother me? But the fact that I might have tetanus or rabies, which is incurable once the symptoms show, I'm worried about the mathematical probability of having that. So, I'm not a hypochondriac. I don't take Tylenol, for God's sake. I mean, when I'm sick, I just ride it out. But we had a lot of mold and a lot of lead and a lot of other things, to the point where a building had to be condemned that I was living in a few years back. And apparently that kind of stuff can have some weird effects on people, especially in that high doses of it. And one of the things is it can cause anxiety disorders and panic attacks. Did I just drink out of the wrong bottle? No. Anyway, I had a panic attack, and ever since then, it was what they considered a severe panic attack, because it lasted a while. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know there's no convincing you that you're not going to die. There's just not. You are dying. You might be dead already. You are dying, and you're convinced of that. Since then, I've been a little touchy. I have pulled muscle in right through this area here somewhere. It makes my arm kind of tingle or be numb, or which is the same hand that I cut myself on. Isn't that great? But tingle or numb or hurt every once in a while, and I have heart palpitations every once in a while. But that's psychosomatic. There's nothing wrong with me. I know that. So I got over that after about 2 years of having the pain in the chest, and I'm fine. If it was my heart, I would have died, and all the blood work and the EKGs they've done and everything. Since my panic attack. So I've just been overly worried about things here lately, as far as my health. Like my sinuses, I'm so used to. But yet they came 2 weeks after I cut myself, and I'm like, I have rabies. How ridiculous does that even sound? I have rabies. Just let it soak in for a second. Just the chance. I mean, rabies in Indiana. I mean, there's maybe 1 case a year, and it's not even consistent. I mean, last case I think here was like 2010. So it's not really a widespread disease. And you're more likely to get it from the woodchuck, apparently, raccoons, or usually dogs. And like I said, small mammals, except for bats. Bats do carry a special form of rabies that is not necessarily does not necessarily affect them, but they can transmit it. And we have a lot of bats flying around here, but I didn't get a kiss from one of them, so I'm not really worried about it. And it only goes through saliva. It's not a bloodborne pathogen. So why am I worried? Because I've lost my damn mind. I think it's mainly because of my daughter. Once I had my daughter, I was like, okay, I used to feel like Superman. You couldn't, I've been stabbed, I've been in fights, I've been beat up. Well, I ended up winning. I always do, just because I think I'm meaner, or crazier, or just because, I don't know. I was in boxing for a long time, so I could take a hit pretty good. But, just what do you think? Do you think about these things a lot? Like, what happens when you die, or if you die, or what's going to happen, or what, like, the death. It's not the dead part, the whole being dead part. The dying dead thing doesn't bother me. It's the dying. The act of death, the transitional phase is what bothers me. Just leave a comment, video response, whatever you want to do. I mean, if there's anybody out there that just, I know there is, that are just like, I'm going to die all the time, and we'll pass some information back and forth, maybe some ways to deal with that or cope with that, and reassure you that you're not crazy. I mean, eventually we are all going to die, but I'm just more afraid of how I'm going to, more than anything. So, with that said, I am going to go ahead and get off here and maybe post the videos that I should have posted. I made that I just haven't done anything with because I'm a lazy shit. And see what you think of them. I started playing bass again. I didn't play for 7 years. I'm playing again, so that's kind of fun. So anyway, just subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. I really don't care. This is just because I'm bored and I like to look at myself and hear myself talk because nobody else looks at me and talks to me. So, whatever you want to do. If you want to call me an asshole, hey, it's human contact, kinda. It's what passes for human contact in today's society, isn't it? So just you know, kind of humor a very bored human being and do something. Have fun. Ah.